So very quickly, I'll be introducing SAMSON ALIGBA, a solutions architect. SAMSON ALIGBA is a solutions architect and experienced professional with a clear focus on solving business problems with design and technology. In 2012, he founded his first tech startup after 3+ years running an independent brand agency. In 2014, he was acknowledged as one of the most 100 innovative in the Nigerian tech space. He advises business and founders on leveraging digital technology and its applications for profitability. SAMSON ALIGBA's experience cuts across industries, collaborating, leading teams, and implementing strategies for efficiency. He has over 15+ years of experience in brand marketing, product development, and management, tasked with exploring new ways to enable brands to gain the attention and wallets of consumers. Currently, he's driving strategy and product management in a B2B fintech. Everybody say tech. Everybody say tech. Please, with Jesus' joy in your heart. Clap, because it's not easy. Welcome, Mr. SAMSON ALIGBA.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to stand before you to speak to you this morning. Can I get the... Okay, all right.
Check this side.
Okay.
Then you can also use the screen in front of you. You can see it.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, so today we will talk about the future of creativity. It's interesting that everyone who has spoken so far has touched on a few points I was going to mention, so I will not go into any of those. But while I walk you through my slide as we speak about the future of creativity, I would also chip in a little bit of my story as well. Now, what if music was composed and produced by voices of great artists of the past? What if that happened? What if in the future we never needed a new artist to emerge? A computer generated the new music that we listen to and enjoy. Have you imagined living in that kind of future? This is already happening today. There are already few experiments in this direction. About 3 weeks ago, there was a podcast that had Steve Jobs on the podcast. He was speaking about today's trend. How is that possible? The man is dead. The voice was synthesized by an AI using his references from his past speaking engagements, and then he was speaking about today's topic with his voice. In the future, our jobs will be very different. We will be competing against machines. Now, what will be the creative jobs of the future? There will be those jobs that the machines cannot and will not do. So, let us start thinking about 10 years from now. If you are 18, you'll be 28 then. If you are 28 today, you'll be 38 then. If you are 38 today, you'll be what? 48. Everybody still has time because the world is constantly evolving. How many of us remembers typewriters? How many of us remembers shorthand writing? Exactly. Only the people in front. So we know their age. What if medicine is produced, personalized to just you? The next person sitting beside you cannot take a medicine that you can take. It's already happening. If it's already happening today, what do you think medicine will look like 10 years from now? These are thoughts that you should imagine with what you're currently doing. I will get to that shortly. Your future is a culmination of all of the experiences and attempts and failures that you are making today. Everything I'm doing today, I had done a little bit of it many years ago. In 2022, I was fixing computers for a cyber cafe. How many of us remember what cyber cafes are? Again, 2002 rather, sorry. The cafe was close to our house then, my father's house. I had been reading about computer engineering from books, I used to try to go outside of where we lived because I imagined that there was so much knowledge out there. So I stumbled on this place under bridge in Ikeja where they sold used computer books. So that's where I go spend my time. If I could not buy, I would just flip through. You know how people stand in front of newspapers to read? So I just go there and also just flip through. Exactly, right. And I met someone who had a book I really loved. So I made a photocopy of the book and went home to read. So I was studying for computer engineering examination then. Then it was, can't remember what it's called then, but it was a very popular international exam. I never wrote the exam, but I eventually started helping the cafe close by to fix their computers because I had the knowledge. That was experience for me, right? They were not paying me for it, like someone already said, but it was experience. The next year, I was going to cyber cafe and I was learning how to build. I had the mindset of building yahoo.com. That was very popular back then. That was 2002, 2003. So I was learning how to build websites on the computer. Now, back then, I didn't have a computer. And the cyber cafe was, the one close to my house was often down, so I'll take a bus and go farther away to get access to the internet. You pay for time, which, if you remember what it was, well, you can't remember what it was. I mean, now everybody has internet in their pockets, right? You pay for time, go to the cafe, you spend time. So I'll spend time trying out all the different places where they were teaching about how to make websites. Remember, I did not have a computer, and I had only 1 hour I could pay for. So what would I do? I'll print out all the websites, take it home, and go and read them at home. That was 2002. Now, what if the lady that just spoke about fashion, fantastic outfits, fantastic work. Now, what if in the future you wanted to buy clothes from her? You are in the United States, she's in London, and you could fit the dress from your room while she's still in London. Have you imagined that future? It's already happening today. So if it's already happening today, what do you think would be happening 10 years from now? And what do you think the future of fashion will be like 10 years from now? That's the future you should be imagining. That's the future you should be preparing for. Why? Because irrespective of what you do today, that future will come. It's not going to wait for you. Every new day, you sleep, you wake, it's coming. Nobody's waiting for you. So, what you are doing today, if it's not adding up to the future you imagine, or the future you imagine you want to live in, you are wasting time that you could have used to gain a whole lot of advantage over everyone else who will be your competitor. Now, 10 years back, like our brother said, maybe 10 for him, maybe 15, you get out of school, you get a banking job. Today, banks are losing staff to foreign organizations. Why? the world is flat again. So it's no longer round, it's no longer difficult to reach another nation. It's just a walk away. So why should I be working here when those guys over there can pay me a whole lot more? Trouble for the banks. What industry are you loving today that would be in trouble 10 years from now? How would you know? You can't tell the future. That's the good thing. That's also the bad thing. You can't tell the future, but what you can tell is what you are doing right now. That's the part that is totally within your control. What you are doing right this minute. You are here, many people are not here. You chose to be here. You chose to spend your time this way. Now, if everything I've mentioned so far sounds too good to be true, all of the examples I gave, there is more. Outside of this presentation, there's a whole lot more. There's a whole lot more that technology is enabling that will compete for the jobs of today in the future. So what should you be doing today? The creatives of tomorrow will begin with courage today. What does that mean? Two people already mentioned it. They tried their hand at something and they kept at it. That's courage. What you're doing with your time today, there is no guarantee of success. The businesses you start today will not be the businesses you run tomorrow. But one thing is guaranteed. The experiences you gained yesterday would contribute to the success of the experiences you have tomorrow. So everything I did before in the past is contributing to what I'm doing today. And everything I'm doing today will contribute to everything that I'll do in 10 years from now. Now, the only limitation to that experience is me. If I stop learning, if I stop trying, if I stop pushing myself, if I stop engaging with best practices, if I consider myself a local champion and forget that there's a younger version of me in China who is doing the same thing I'm doing, and he's faster. I'm working with what they call 5G internet that is only as fast as. And then he's working with what? He's working with a whole lot more speed, more advantages. Now, what are my advantages that I can bring to bear with what I'm doing today? So that's the problem a lot of us, or mistakes a lot of us has made before, that we're just now trying to unlearn. If you consider yourself disadvantaged today, tomorrow you will still be disadvantaged. If you consider yourself privileged today, tomorrow you'll be privileged. This is what I'm trying to say. Every single human on earth has some form of disadvantage. If you focus on that disadvantage today, in 10 years' time, your focus will still be on the disadvantages you have. Now, if you choose today to take your eyes off the disadvantages, like I said, I was printing out the web pages on paper to go read at home. If you take your eyes off those limitations you have today and instead focus on what is it in my hand that I can make use of right now, today, and you try it out. Today, you succeed at it. Tomorrow, you fail at it. This is what your life will look like. Everybody look at me. It will look like this. Ups and downs. But if you bring out your phones now and just Google what company should we use? let's use a popular company. Just Google Apple stock. Try it out yourself. This is what you see. Try it out. Google Apple stock. This is what you see. Now, on that Google result, if you change at the top, you would see duration. If you change it from 1 year to 5-year period, this is what you will see. It's going up. Sometimes it will go down. Now, the stock analysts call that a dip. It will go down. Sometimes it will go up. If you focus on 1 week period, you see it like this, and it looks like a straight line because it's going up, coming down, going up, coming down, going up, coming down. But if you look at it, that same experience over a 5-year period, over a 10-year period, as long as the company is still running, what you notice is, while it's doing like this, over time, it's doing like this and tending upwards. That is what happens with your life. That is what you should focus on. What you can do today with what you have in your hands. Remember the story he told us about farming. He went somewhere, his brother's farm. He stayed there for a couple of times and started doing something with what he had. He did not have money to start his own farm, but he started with something. Today he has his own farm. I mean, fantastic video he showed us. If you ask him now that you want to put money into his business, it's going to be a lot. Thank you, sir. It's going to be a lot. But if you had met him 5 years ago and given him peanuts, you'll be part of that business right now, right? But that is what it is. Your courage is practice made perfect for tomorrow. You're practicing today. You're failing. You're starting up again. Tomorrow, you're failing, you're starting up again. What you are doing is you're practicing. You're practicing for the future that's going to come, regardless of what you do. That future is what you're practicing for today. If David and Goliath's story was to happen in 2022, what do you think it would look like? You would have a 16-year-old boy or 14-year-old boy who would go up to the President of America and say, "Who's your biggest enemy? I'm going to put him down." What do you think would happen to that boy? If he was talking to a Nigerian, he would get a backhand slap. Simple, like, get out of here. You know, you this small boy. Now, because he's talking to the president and probably in a public place, security will just bundle him away, right? But this is what David did. And the interesting thing about David's story is what he told Saul. He said, "I've been doing this. I fought the bear. I fought the lion." That's practice. That's a strong resume. I've been doing this. I've been doing this with ants and cockroaches and who's this tall human being? What is that thing that you're currently thinking is the biggest challenge of your life right now? And what are the tools in your hand right now? Go up against it. Nobody's guaranteeing success. Don't get me wrong. But the truth is, when it now becomes time to go up against two other nations beside your nation, which David eventually did, right? It becomes a walk in the park. I mean, the same guy who killed Goliath took out several nations around Israel. It was child's play. You know? Even while Saul was still king, he had the opportunity to kill Saul. How does a fugitive get so close to the king of the nation. It was skill because he's been practicing. Courage. So what you're doing today and what you should focus on is, while everything is going like this, your eyes is on the future. Courage to practice today, perfection for tomorrow. So practice, fail, learn. We'll move on. Now, the opportunities of tomorrow begin with leverage you have today. What does this mean? We've spoken about courage. We've spoken about making use of what you have with you today. In the future, the people who would open doors for you are people who you have leverage with. It is not in the future you build that leverage. It is today. Remember the stories of everyone who has spoken before me? I think 4 of them spoke about starting small, doing free stuff for people, building relationships, building their resume. If you ask all of them, some of those people they did stuff for were the people who introduced them to other people who paid them for what they do. That's leverage. If you focus on how big you think you are today and separate yourself from the relationships around you today, you are essentially separating yourself from the relationships that will help you in the future. Again, side note, my own story. So we recently got a large project from a state university to digitize the entire process with our software technology. Now, you'll be surprised to know that the person who called and referred us was somebody who I met on campus 12, 13 years ago. And I still kept in touch with. So he could vouch for us because he had seen what we had done over time. And he's been present. Now, that's the kind of thing that would be happening in your life in the future. Everybody you are drinking Gary with today, everyone you are entering buses with today, everyone you are currently in your workplace you're working with today. So imagine, side note, another story. Somebody got a job at a friend's company, and then he got fired like a week later. Why? Because when they did background check, his old boss said he was a thief. Straight up, he got fired immediately. Like, why? If you work with other people and you do not put in your heart into it, you do not put your best effort, put your best foot forward in that job, in that place, no matter how small you think the job is paying you, you'll be shocked that the people you work with will be the first people to not recommend you when they find themselves in a better position tomorrow. Why? Because they've seen you at your worst. They've also seen you at your best. They've seen what you do with what you have been given responsibility over. So what you need to do is build leverage with the relationships and positions you find yourself in today. Because in 10 years' time, these are the same people that would say, oh, we know him. We know where he's coming from. And we believe he can get the job done. These are the same people that would say, we know him. We know where he's coming from. And we don't think he can deliver. The choice is in your hand today. A little effort for high impact. That's what leverage is. The term leverage comes from a lever. In the middle of a lever is the high leverage point. Trust. If that high leverage point doesn't work, and you put a little effort, okay, sorry, maybe I'm speaking grammar. This is what we call jangolova. Yeah? True? Good. Thank you. You put a little effort on one side, and it lifts. This is physics. Now, if that middle point is faulty, there is no amount of effort you put on this side that will lift up this other side. So what you are doing today is building that middle point with every simple, small, little, big thing that you find yourself doing. Because everyone around you is watching. You'll be shocked. Tomorrow, she called and said, I should be here. I just met her today for the first time. Somebody else told her about me. You see what I'm saying? So, and this somebody else, he's very far from me right now. Like, the last time we spoke was on the phone. But he could say, hey, give him the mic. I know he can say something. Why? That middle point, the high leverage point, trust has been built over time. So I encourage you, build relationships, build your strong men around you. Remember I mentioned earlier about David getting so close to killing Saul? The men David used in that time period were the outcasts. They were not soldiers. They were people he met while he was running as a fugitive. And then he trains them. He got them better. That is the contribution you make to the relationships around you. Because tomorrow, the only reason why anybody will stick their neck out for you is because you've contributed something to their life. If you've contributed nothing, you were just taking and taking and taking. See, in 10 years' time, everybody you are currently with, or you think you are suffering with right now, or you are sharing a room together with, they would have moved on. They would have succeeded in one way or the other. You have also succeeded. I'm not saying you both still be poor. You have all succeeded. But now that you are both succeeded, can they trust you to deliver more success for them? That's what everybody's going to be looking at. Now, if you do not contribute to the people around you, to the systems around you, there is no way those same people will trust you to contribute in the future. It's not going to happen. You can't come tell stories of how you have changed. Nobody will listen. So leverage, be resourceful, build your relationships, contribute. With leverage, you are making full use of all of your resources. It's about respect. It's about collaboration. It's about contribution. What are you contributing? Who are you respecting? And who are you collaborating with? Thank you.